Welcome back, team. Matt Prince from Royal Fitness. Today's topic is this: the 3 strengths that you need to focus on. Now, we're looking at a strength spectrum right now. So that's what I've been talking about with the team, like my staff, and I've been talking about with a few members in the gym. And I wanted to share it with you guys as well, just to get a little bit clearer in my message, to get it across. It helps me. The more I explain it, the more it ingrains into myself. But also, too, the more of you that hear this, the more, more results you're going to get, the better your bodies are going to be. So, especially from a strength and performance point of view. So, when we're looking at improving the body, right, I'll take you back to a story. Years ago, there was a guy who I was working with, skinny guy, and basically wanted to get bigger, right? And he's basically said, I want to get bigger. What do I do? Like, I'm eating heaps, I'm training really hard, I'm doing all this stuff. And I was like, basically, you got to take your 1 rep max and turn it into 10. And he looked at me like I was crazy, but he was bench pressing 100 kilos at the time. I said, mate, I guarantee you, if you can get that up to 100 kilos for 10 reps, you're going to be bigger. And now I know it's easy for me to say that. It makes complete sense that would happen. But this is one of the things that a lot of people don't think about, right? They stay doing the work that they're doing, especially for those like gym people who just go to the gym and don't really pay attention to their progress and don't really force little gains or little wins or little reps or little extra weight on the bar. They could be doing the exact same thing and be stuck if they don't change their training, right? So they might have 60 kilos on the bench press, and they're doing that for sets of 8. And they're doing that a year later for still sets of 8, right? There's no progress there. You need to be adding reps, adding sets, making sure the time's different. These are principles that are just, tried and true, which I'll go into in another video. But the idea that I said to this young guy, I said, mate, get your bench press. There was 100 kilos for 1 at the time. I said, get it to 100 for 10. I guarantee you'll be bigger then. And he did. He worked it up and built it up there, and it took time. It took a long time, but he got there, right? And this is how he got there. You've got your hypertrophy method, or your repetition method is what we call it. Now, what that is, basically that's your hypertrophy range. That's gaining muscle. Hypertrophy is essentially adding slabs of muscle to your body. Now, for you girls that are out there looking to shape up your body and tone your body and do all that sort of stuff, basically hypertrophy is a thing that you want to be looking into, right? Strength training builds hypertrophy. Now, when I'm saying hypertrophy, especially for the girls, a lot of girls think, hey, I'm going to bulk up, I'm going to get really thick, and everything just gets bigger, right? It's not the case. Girls don't gain as much muscle as men in general, and it's very well documented that it's due to the testosterone levels and all this sort of stuff. Some can, right? Some can, and it definitely is possible to bulk up. Like I'll see, people doing training wrong, and with the girls that I train personally, I only train a handful of girls within the Strength Club program, and what I find is if I let them do what the guys do, it's bad, right? It can't be exactly the same. I'm training the guys to have bigger traps, bigger shoulders, thicker cores and stuff like that. That's just not what the girls want. So there has to be some adjustments, but strength training is still the best way to gain muscle across the body and gain muscle in the areas that you want. So if you're looking at improving your glutes and your legs and your upper back and all that sort of stuff, or your postural muscles, strength training is important. And hypertrophy, that repetition range of anywhere between 8 and 15, is important to work on too for you girls too, just as a side note. So that's something to think about. Now, you've got the idea of the hypertrophy, right? The repetition range. If you're doing reps and you're not gaining in reps or gaining strength in those rep ranges, you're not progressing, all right? So how do you progress? You got to get your maximal strength up as well. And when I say maximal strength, it's how much can you lift for 1 rep, right? How much can you lift ultimately? What's the most amount of force you can put through a barbell or through whatever you're trying to improve? Right, let's say it's a bench press, it's an easy example, but let's say you can bench that 100 and then you want to get that to 10. What if we gained 20 kilos on our 1 rep max? And now we could bench press 120 for 1, right? Think about that for a sec. If you're doing that and you've gained 20 kilos in your maximal strength, yes, you would have had to get bigger. The hypertrophy stuff would have had to make your muscles bigger, and you would have had to get your nervous system to fire more efficiently to lift more weight. Now you can lift 120. So what that'll mean is essentially 70% of that will be around 90 kilos. I never did maths in year 12, so don't hold me to that. Let's say you can now do 90 kilos for your 3 sets of 8 rather than 70 kilos for 3 sets of 8. That's going to equal more size. It's going to equal more strength overall, and it's going to equal more progression and growth, right? And then so now you get that concept. You've got your hypertrophy stuff. You have to be doing that, but you have to be improving. Right? And the best way to improve is to increase your maximal strength. Now, the percentage is significantly easier. If you're at 120 and you're bench pressing, say, 60 kilos, that's 50%. But if you're at 120, if you're at 100 and you're bench pressing 60 kilos, it's 60%. So it's going to be significantly harder. So the easiest way to get the repetitions up is to get your strength up. So you need to be training both. Now, there is a third piece to this component where a lot of people miss out, right? A lot of people do, and you see this in the bodybuilding world. I've got friends who are bodybuilders, and this is what I'm always hassling them about when they're training with me, or I'm chatting to them. It's get your explosiveness up, get your power up. Learn to train your body as one powerful unit. Now, this speed strength or explosive type strength, explosive power type strength, very, very, very critical, because what it will do, you've got your muscles, right? You're building them. They're building. You're doing the reps. You've got your maximal strength going up. Doing the reps. They'll both cap out if you don't do this one component. If you can lift weight faster, or you can move your body faster and learn how to fire everything, the experts will call it rate of force development, learn how to basically switch on and basically explode in one hit. If you can do that on top of the other two, now your maximal strength will go up even more. That will in turn allow your hypertrophy rep range or your repetition strength to go up even more. So it's very, very, very critical that you're not only getting your reps in, you're getting that hypertrophy work in, you're getting your maximal strength work in, and then you're getting your explosive work in. Now, how to tie that into a program, it's going to take me way too long to go into on this video, but you need to be doing it, right? And I would always recommend, when you're looking at it from a point of view, it's very, very simple to think about. Right? Do the explosive stuff when you're fresher. Once you've done your explosive stuff, lift the really heavy stuff. After you've done the heavy stuff, you do the hypertrophy stuff, right? That's a simple way to look at it from a programming point of view. And if you're missing any of those pieces, there will be a leak down the track. It might not be now, but you will stall out along the track. And if you're always improving all of them, you're going to get better. Now, as another side note here, guys, right? I've talked about how the more muscle add more strength to your maximal. Like obviously basically the muscles, the bigger they are, the more force they can produce in theory, right? It's not always the case. I've seen people where they're massive and they just don't have that rate of force development or that explosiveness to push heavy weights, but it can be trained into them over time. So that's a really good thing to know. The bigger you are, the more likely you are to lift more. Now, on the flip side of that, right, the stronger you are, let's say you're a lighter guy and you've got that explosiveness, you're an ex-athlete, you come in and you can, you're sort of that wiry sort of strength, right? You've got that. You now have the ability to add hypertrophy and improve on that, right? And that's going to help too. But the third piece, this is where a lot of people go wrong. This is a misconception that I believe a lot of people have screwed up, and I don't know why it's screwed up, but it is. The idea of maximal strength, lifting a bar, let's say it's 120 kilos, I was talking about with the bench. When it's at your 1 rep max, you're going to be pushing it really slow, like it's going to look slow. Does that mean that's going to make you slow as an athlete? Absolutely not. Right? It'll allow you to produce more force when you train in that explosive work too, right? It's going to help you become more powerful, more explosive, right? If you're training it in your legs, taking off in that football position, right? Taking off, sprinting, it's going to make you quicker. If you're an athlete, let's say you're a fighter, you're throwing punches, if you have maximal strength and that's higher, right? And yes, in terms of different sports with different weight class, you have to be careful on the size point of view, but the idea, the stronger athlete will produce more force, right? If trained correctly, right? There is a point where you can go too far, but with my athletes, I won't let them go too far, but there is a point where you can go too far. So if you're just, if you're an athlete and you're just doing a bodybuilding type program, you may stuff up your performance and you may get slower. And I think that's where this concept comes from. When everybody, started doing weights, they were reading like what Jay Cutler or Ronnie Coleman or something was doing, and they applied that to their sport. That is going to screw you up. But if you're adding in the power work, you're adding in the maximal strength work, you're adding in the hypertrophy work to keep your body healthy and growing those lean muscles where you need them, you're going to perform heaps better, right? You'll be more explosive, you'll be bigger, stronger, faster, all of that stuff. So there is some things to think about, guys, and I hope that helps out, but there is some really, really good things in there that if you are missing in your training, or you're not thinking about logically in your training, apply them. Now, for what I'll wrap up on is, for anybody who I train, right? Anyone who trains with us at Royal, right? Have a think about these concepts and how you can improve on them, because we do them all. And if it's focusing on getting your swings up heavier, if it's focusing on snatching better, if it's focusing on doing, the things like the jumps, the clap push-ups, the ball throws, they're the explosive work. If you need to put more effort into them, understand that effort will pay off down the track. If you need to go harder in those maximal lifts, go harder in those maximal lifts. Understand, this is one thing. A lot of people think it's dangerous to lift really heavy. I have never hurt myself doing a 1 rep max except for a deadlift one day. I went forward too far and I basically stuffed it up. It was too heavy. I wasn't confident and I stuffed it up, right? The deadlift is one that I have seen a few people hurt themselves on, but it's only if it's a weight that they haven't done or if they're not switched on with it, right? In terms of the rest of them, I find the most injuries will happen if you're doing heavy 3s, 5s, or even more, right? It's a lot more common for somebody who's doing a lot of reps to throw their elbow out to the side, right? Or if you're doing multiple reps on a deadlift, to roll your back when you're fatigued. Usually the 1 rep, you either can't lift it, right? Or you're that focused that you get it done, right? So it's one of those things like, I think going heavy and going hard has its place and you need to push that up as well if you want to be the strongest person you can. Anyway, hope that helps, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to hit us up. But guys, if you're looking for more content, if you have any questions, message me. I'll help you out. I'll shoot a video like this on it if I need to, and try to keep training hard. Now, train hard, max out, do your reps, get explosive. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.